when we launched, we wanted to do 1 million. I never thought we'd get to 5 million. When I got to 5 million, I thought actually that's probably as much as we're going to get to. And this year we'll probably do 7.5 million. And I can see there's doing 10 million next year.
Welcome to another episode of MozPod. My name is Chima Mejo, your host, and our guest today is Ash Young. Ash is the founder of web design and digital agency Evoluted, and he founded carmats.co.uk, which launched in 2020 and won Sheffield Startup Business of the Year award. Ash shows us he can practice what he preaches with his widely successful business. He is emerging as the automotive king of Sheffield. Ash, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Today, we're talking about how Ash grew carmats.co.uk from 0 to 5 million in revenue. If you find anything interesting from this episode, please use the hashtag MozPod to tag us and share your insights on social media. Ash, why carmats? Was there anything else you considered before settling on this niche?
It's an area that I've been involved with before with previous clients of Evoluted. So it's an area that I'd seen. There were people selling car mats, but they weren't doing very well. They weren't promoting the products well. They weren't necessarily doing the customer service side of things well. So it's an area that I thought actually we could go in there and do things a lot better than the existing people in the market.
So you had SEO clients at Evoluted that you'd done like some SEO for them. They were selling car mats and you're like, I can do this better than them.
Yeah, a little bit like that. But I suppose the important thing here is that they weren't existing clients. They'd long left. It was an area that we had been involved in the past.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've decided that this is the niche I want to go into. I want to sell car mats. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that first sale, because going from 0 can be very daunting. What was that first sale like? Where did it come from?
Oh, those early sales. Well, I can't remember the first sale, but those early sales, I was just so excited. I used to come downstairs in the morning and I'd run downstairs because it was during lockdown. So all the kids were at home all the time. I'd run downstairs, be really excited. Be like, kids, we sold like 3 car mats last night. And they'd just roll their eyes at me after the first couple of times that happened. But the joy of those early sales of car mats, we have 1,000 order days at the moment, and that doesn't actually come close to what it felt like to sell 3. That was more exciting to me than selling 1,000.
Like you just wake up in the morning, first thing you're doing, go and check your computer.
Straight on Shopify.
Do the sales!
Refresh the sales, see how many we've sold, and then run downstairs and tell the kids. Yeah.
Oh man. In the early days, did you do any crazy tactic that surprisingly worked well for your business?
The one that really stands out for me is that we wanted to prove that the concept would work without sort of spending months and months populating a website. So we launched carmats.co.uk with only one product populated. So you could only buy Ford Focus car mats. If you went to the navigation to try and buy any other products, you couldn't click on them. They were just hash links. They didn't go anywhere. And we launched on Google Ads, and the ads just pointed straight to the Ford Focus page. So we were targeting people that wanted Ford Focus car mats. And some of them, might have wanted a different product, but it let us test and prove that the model worked, and then let us scale out. And actually, we used that to scale the rest of the site. So we didn't have a fully populated website for the next 2-3 months.
That is so interesting. I'm looking at this from the aspect where you have e-commerce websites with thousands of products. People are overwhelmed with choices. You're going in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
Were you not afraid that this was going to backfire, especially given that people are used to having numerous choices?
They are, but the people, so we're a utility product. People are buying a product for their vehicle. They only want it for their vehicle. So in those early days, we were specifically targeting people that knew they wanted car mats for their car, and they were searching with their car. So Ford Focus car mats, you go straight to that page and you go and buy. If we can't sell car mats to those people, we've got no hope of selling car mats to anyone.
That's smart. Start with a very small audience, see how well you can sell to that small audience, and then gradually start to scale out to other brands of car mats.
Yeah, basically.
Very smart. When did you realize that this could be something big?
So we sat down with our manufacturer and we chatted about actually we might want to get to 100 sets in a day. And then actually very quickly in the first sort of month or two, we were getting up to having days of that sort of number. And at which point you realize that...
Wait, hold on. In the first month of running the business?
Possibly not the first month, possibly in the second month. So the first month we didn't do a huge number of sales, but in the second month we did some big numbers quite quickly. And it was really surprising. I think at that time it was because it was lockdown, a lot of our competitors had stopped trading because it was proper first lockdown. People had shut their factories, they'd sent everybody home. So actually a lot of people had stopped advertising. So there wasn't really a lot of competition. So we were able to get in there and capture a bit of the market.
Where are people even driving to? Who is driving anywhere?
Well, that's a
in
great
the lockdown.
question. Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand, why are you selling car mats in lockdown when everybody's at home? How are you even selling these car mats to people? Why is anybody even buying car mats during the fucking lockdown?
It's a great question. I don't know why people were buying them, but it worked for us because also, so I was running the agency full time at that point. I also had the time to do this because our agency clients didn't really want to speak to us in the middle of lockdown. They wanted to go and deal with their own issues. So a lot of my time was spent dealing with clients. So I had no one to talk to. So it gave me the time to go and focus on building car mats.
That's interesting. So the moment where you realized this could be something big was when you started doing 200 orders per day by the second month.
Yeah, so 100, not 200. 200 would have been pushing it a bit, yeah.
But that's still very impressive, man.
Yeah, it was crazy how quickly it grew.
That was very impressive. So did you ever think that you would be doing 5 million in revenue?
No, I never thought we'd get to 5 million. When I got to 5 million, I thought actually that's probably as much as we're going to get to. And this year we'll probably do 7.5 million. And I can see there's doing 10 million next year. Insane. I can see how we can get there basically. So it's absolutely crazy.
What was the most, when you were starting out and you were like, okay, this is something I could aim for. What was that number in your head that you thought you could be doing?
When we launched, we wanted to do 1 million. Dead simple. So I launched, I said on Twitter that I was going to go out there and launch an e-commerce site to show that I could practice what I preach and get to £1 million. And I thought 1 million would be tough. Yeah. I was aiming that in a year we'd be on a run rate for £1 million. And I thought actually that would be really, really hard work. So to be where we are now is just absolutely crazy.
For a business that launched during COVID-19 and you've not even been around for 5 years, no. 5 million is insane. Mm-hmm. That's incredible work, Ash. I just have to give it to you right there.
Thank you.
That's incredible work. Have your visions evolved as the business continues to grow? As you're hitting these new numbers, are you being like, okay, I want to do this next. I want to scale here next. I want to go into this vertical. What has been like the changes in your growth plans for car mats as the business grows?
Yeah, so I think the growth plan for us is as we've grown, we've just gone into new areas of marketing. So the key thing for us was that we maxed out, say, Google Ads before we looked at SEO or we looked at social ads. So we've focused on one area rather than spreading ourselves really thin. We've focused on one area, grown that to where we think is the optimal level, and then moved on to another channel. And we're at the stage now where we're launching into other verticals. So we own vanmats.co.uk. That'll probably do 500,000 to 1 million on its own this year, just selling van mats. We're going to launch seatcovers.co.uk later this year. So we've got a whole range of verticals that we can go into that are basically very similar or related products.
How are you even getting these domain names? I'm sorry, I have to ask. Because these are really good domain names. How are you getting them?
So carmats.co.uk, I actually stalked the guy that owned it. So I went back onto, I can't remember what site it was, but went back into the Who Is history and had to go back to pre-GDPR to find actually a number who owned it. And just kept ringing the number. I must have rung the number like 10, 15 times until someone picked up.
Damn.
Spoke to the chap, and he told me who actually owned the domain name, gave me his mobile number, rang him, and just did a deal with him to buy the domain.
I know you're not going to tell us how much you bought the domain.
I will do, yeah. How much do you think I bought it for?
I want to say maybe 100K because it sounds expensive. It's a very good domain name. It's the kind of domain name that brands itself. Yeah, you don't have to explain what it is.
I think we did good business on the domain name. It cost us $5,000. So I was happy with that at the time.
$5,000. That's a steal.
I think so, yeah.
That's a steal. And you did the same thing with the other domain names, stalk the people who own the domain names.
So seatcovers.co.uk, they got in touch and wanted to try and sell it.
Oh, they got in touch with you?
Yeah, so we bought that. Van Mats was available, and actually one of my friends bought it and went, I'm gonna try and do Van Mats, and then he didn't actually get anywhere with it, so he sold it to me. So you're
just like nice. Collecting the shit like Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Okay. Walk us through that growth journey. What did you do to hit 100K in revenue?
So, I mean, to get to that first 100K, we absolutely smashed Google Ads. Didn't look at anything else, just looked at Google Ads.
One channel,
focused. Do it really well. And we were intent on watching people, what they were doing on their website. So we had Hotjar on the site. I would spend my evenings watching sessions of the website to see what people were doing, what were they buying, where were they scrolling, what were they trying to click on? Were they trying to click on things that weren't even clickable? Which turns out
explain that to me. I'm confused.
So when you go onto our site to configure a set of car mats, it's quite a complicated purchase. It's not just adding something to a basket. We've got 5 qualities of carpet that you can choose from. You can have that in different colors of carpet. You can have different colored trim. You can have embroidery. And that's after you found the right product for your car. So we were watching people to see, were they clicking on things to try and find out more information, to configure things, just to actually understand what they wanted, where they were clicking, where they were scrolling. We used to have really quite long product descriptions of the carpets. They were quite witty and we thought they were funny. And people were just scrolling up and down and go, oh, too much text, and bouncing off the site. So we rewrote all our descriptions. It was a little bit soul destroying. We wrote our product descriptions from like a paragraph each down to 2 lines. And the brief was, on a mobile, it has to fit on 2 lines. If it's more than 2 lines, it's too much.
Yeah.
So we rewrote it, and that overnight was game changing for conversion rate, because people stopped scrolling up and down and they could focus. It wasn't the wall of text they saw that kind of like made them go, oh, what am I looking at? They just could easily see what they wanted and make a selection.
So you use Google Ads, you get them from Google Ads, They come into the website, they customize their order, they put it in the cart, and then they make a purchase. And then you use Hotjar to see how they are experiencing your website and see where you can find high points to optimize and improve that conversion rate. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And we were using Shopify, so we were confident of the checkout process beyond the cart. It was getting them into the cart and getting them into the basket. So we iterated on Hotjar, and then actually we just scaled out the ads. So we started with Ford Focus, Ford Fiesta. I had a Tesla at the time, so we did Tesla Model Y, Model 3, sorry. So we just scaled out the products, basically. We just went one after the other and added a new model day by day almost.
Did you change anything? Maybe this is where you are at 100K. This has worked for 100K. Did you change anything heading to 1 million in revenue? Something you learned that got better heading to 1M?
So the thing that we actually changed was we stopped targeting model specific. We still do. But as we got to 1 million, we had enough products on the website that we could go after broad terms like car mats. If someone's searching for car mats, we got to a stage where we had enough products that we were confident that we had the product for them. So the big thing for us was actually populating that website. That took, 3-4 months to get all the models on the website, because they were all populated by hand. They were all researched by hand. It took the time, and that's really what got us to that £1 million.
Okay, so specificity got you to 100,000.
Yeah.
Going broader got you to 1 million.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
That's incredible, actually. I love the fact that so far it has been a very, very conscious step by step.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you had a very, very like small plan that you were going to execute to perfection, and then repeat that same process again, get to the next milestone, and then just keep rinse and repeat. You're not trying to bend the book. You're just trying to
We had a playbook, and we literally just rolled out.
Yeah, that sounds like a playbook.
Yeah,
that sounds like a playbook to the T.
Yeah.
Okay, incredible. Hey friend, if you stuck around this far, I'll take it you're enjoying the podcast. Please hit the like button to show your support. Subscribe to stay in the loop, and click the bell button to get notified when we release a new episode. Thank you. What was the biggest risk you took that paid off more than you expected?
So I don't think we took any really big risks. I mean, I put $5,000 into the business at the start. I spent $5,000 separately on the domain name, because we were going to launch under a different domain name until I managed to get carmats.co.uk. And essentially we bootstrapped. So we tried to avoid taking risks by making sure we were profitable all the time. So once we got profitable after month 1, we stayed that way, and we only added new models once we'd got everything down and we understood the specifics of that model. So we didn't rush in and say, right, let's spend $50,000 on marketing and hope it works. We needed to know it was going to work to scale the business, because we didn't have lots of backing, lots of cash in the bank to make sure it worked.
Wow. So you're bootstrapped. You're using one channel for marketing, which is Google Ads.
Yeah.
You're bringing in the products gradually. You're not taking any risk at all.
Trying not to, yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds like you've been doing everything by the book, by this playbook that you're working with.
Yeah.
And then it has been so successful that you've not had to take any risk, make any wild decisions. And that's what got you to your first 1 million, and probably even up to your first 5 million.
Yeah, so we're very lucky because everything's made to order. We don't have to hold any stock. So the manufacturer that we work with holds stock of the raw materials, but they make to order for us. So we don't even have to go out there and buy stock to fulfill these orders. We're buying the stock as we're giving them the orders to manufacture.
How long does it take you to ship it from the moment somebody places an order?
So at the moment, we're at about 3 to 5 days.
That's
Probably
great.
by the time this podcast airs, I hope we're doing next day. So you should be able to order by 1 o'clock and get your car mats tomorrow.
Wow. Incredible. Amazon style.
We are going Amazon style with that, yeah.
All right, let's talk about your customers. In what ways have customer feedbacks and interactions guided the evolution of your product offerings?
So in the early days, we were incessant with customers. We published a phone line. We tried to get people to talk to us at every possible opportunity so we could see what they were thinking. We wanted to know what issues, questions, what they weren't sure about, so we could adjust and tweak that website and make sure that the website answered every single question they might have. I still today get involved in the customer service tickets and go in there and see what people are doing. And we had some holidays this weekend, so I've probably spent 4 or 5 hours this weekend doing customer support tickets to make sure the numbers don't get too high. But then you get to see actually what's going wrong, what people aren't sure about, and that's where the biggest learning is.
Can you give us an example of a product or service improvement that was directly influenced by customer feedback?
Yeah, the biggest one for me is, there's been quite a few, but the biggest one is we've got different qualities of carpet. One of the qualities is called Super. And Jo at Evolution named all our products, and she wrote all the product descriptions, and she went absolutely wild. And the Super description, I can't quite remember what it says, but basically the feedback that we get, or we used to get quite a lot, was your Super mats aren't super. And obviously everyone thinks they're hilarious. And actually, when you speak to those customers, they weren't happy with how thick the carpet was. So it was.
Isn't that supposed to be a good thing?
It is. So in our world, right? So a non-thick carpet that's really tight wears really well, and that's what you want. You don't want a really bouncy carpet because essentially it'll flatten down, and when you've got your foot on it in your car for 10, 20, 30,000 miles, it starts to wear away. So it was a really, really good product. It goes into lease vehicles. It's got a 3-year warranty on it, but people got it and they felt it, and they weren't happy with it. So what we ended up doing was going back to the manufacturer and putting in a slightly plusher version, and it took all the issues away. And the weird thing about our product is that if you got a car with car mats in it, you'd be happy with them. You'd never think, oh, I'm not happy with my car mats, they're not thick enough. But because you've brought them on the internet and they're in your hand and you're feeling them, you go, oh, it doesn't quite feel how I wanted it to feel. It's not how I expected it. It doesn't meet my expectations.
That is so interesting. It's like you have more demands of the product because you're buying it as an extra purchase rather than something that came from the manufacturer of the car.
Yeah, we've got to weigh up giving the customer what they think they want versus what's actually a better product that will last longer. Because what they think they want is a really plush, thick carpet that you might have in your house, but that won't last as well in your car.
I was going to ask about crazy customer stories, but we're going to skip that one and just go straight into hot take. What is the one thing that frustrates you the most about SEO or the industry?
The big one for me in SEO is that the powers that be, whoever the decision makers are, don't include SEO from the beginning. I think if you've got that really tight connection with your SEO team, your agency in-house, however you're doing it, that actually you can make decisions that shape the product for the benefit of the product and the benefit of the SEO. Whereas if you try and get the SEO team involved at the end and say, actually, we need to optimize this product, this range, this site, whatever it is, it's too late. Too many decisions have already been made that actually SEO would have suggested you do differently. So in terms of, like I said, the CarMat site, we've structured our sites, even though we didn't start SEO early days, we structured our site in a way that we knew it'd work for SEO long term in terms of how we wanted the hierarchy to work, in terms of how we want to be able to go down to an individual collection. Say for a Ford Focus 2015, we've got a collection that has the 2 models of Ford Focus 2015 for that year because we've set it up for SEO and we knew we wanted to do that. So we built the site in a way that allows us to do that easily. So
you've built SEO into your website. I don't think that would have been any other way, given that you run an SEO agency. Yeah. I would have personally roasted you if you had built a website without like building SEO into the website.
Yeah, I think it's not even about building it in. It's about just being aware of the decisions you'll have to make at some point. So when you want to do the SEO, making sure that actually you've done things in the right way, so you're not having to go back and start again.
That foundation is already like built in to give you that room when you decide to take SEO more seriously.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen too many places where they have to like redo the site from scratch because this thing does not work. This person did not think about SEO. This code that they've put in there doesn't work for SEO, and then they just have to like do the whole thing from scratch, and it just costs a lot of money that way.
And the big thing that for me is the time, right? So you look at the SEO, you look at the time, the cost, but actually it's the time to market. How many products? Where could you be if you'd have got that 6-12 months back?
Yeah. What is one advice you would give to someone starting their own niche business?
Starting their own
niche business. Is it niche? Is it niche? I don't know. But you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think if you're starting your own niche business, I think just go out there and do it. Actually, don't be afraid of taking those risks. Don't be afraid of failing. And I think a lot of people want it to be perfect. They want to wait until their life's in a perfect order so they can go out there and start something. And actually, your life's never going to be like that. Just go out there, give it a try. And what's the worst that happens? It doesn't work out quite how you wanted it. You just adjust and go again.
If you were to start all over again, what would you do differently considering what you know now?
I think for me, I'd start SEO sooner. So we had an idea on some things that we were going to do later on the line in SEO that we built in, but we didn't do a great deal of SEO at the beginning. We didn't do a lot of link building. We didn't do digital PR. We didn't go out there with content. We actually just focused on paid because we wanted to make sure that the site was going to work and we had a business, basically. We didn't know in those early days whether we even had a business, right? So I didn't want to spend all the time on SEO until we'd got to that point. But now the business is so big that actually, if we'd have started SEO 6 months, a year earlier, we'd be even further on. Our rankings, we rank well for some terms, but there's lots of terms that we don't rank well enough for because we weren't there with the content for them. And that's now holding us back, and we can see our competitors are getting the traffic that we should be getting, essentially.
So taking your own advice,
yeah,
don't just build SEO into the website, actually do SEO as part of your growth plans.
Yeah, so we'd got the structure, but we didn't, for example, have all the unique content for the makes and models. We'd just got a template we'd copied and pasted between everyone. And that's holding us back because you can see where our competitors are ranking. They've got, unique in-depth content for each model that we don't have. We do have, it's not published yet. We've written it, it just now needs publishing.
You're just doing that now because you want to scale more now.
Yeah, so we're doing it too late, basically. We should have done this, 2-3 years ago, not now.
Okay. If you've been keeping up with SEO updates, then you probably know that keyword research must align with search intent or it just doesn't work. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Identifying funnel-based intent might look simple, but quickly becomes complicated as search intent evolves. How do you know when search intent changes? What if a commercial keyword is actually an informational keyword? Rather than playing guesswork, our new Keyword Explorer powered by AI simplifies your research with high-value keywords optimized for search intents. Whether your goal is to generate revenue with commercial keywords or educate your audience with informational content, Moz AI helps you maximize every dollar out of your SEO budget to achieve your marketing goals. What is one thing you do every day that brings you a tiny pocket of joy?
So the thing for me is the family and the kids. So I walk my little girl to school every day. I do my absolute hardest not to miss that walk to school in the morning. I've only got a few months left because she goes to secondary school soon, but I absolutely love it. I love the getting up the routine of having a walk there in the morning, a walk back with my wife, so we do it together.
Oh, both of you walk out to school every day?
Yeah, we both walk to school.
That's so sweet.
Back. So we get like 40 minutes together. It's about a 20-minute walk there, 20-minute walk back. A nice little walk in the morning, rain or shine, it's lovely.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining me today, Ash. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. It's been great.
I can't wait to see the success story of canvas.co.uk. I love the fact that you've been publicly sharing everything on Twitter, and I hope you keep doing that.
Yeah, I'll try, though some of the competitors are putting me off a little bit.
That's it for today on MozPod. Don't forget to use the hashtag MozPod to share anything you found interesting on today's episode. This episode was engineered by Saul Fox, produced by Chima Medre and Joe Cameron, and our YouTube footage was filmed and edited by Sarah Galpin. Remember, Curiosity did not kill the cat, it just improved the search rankings. Bye-bye.